Hey, sleepyhead. Welcome back to the channel. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. Before we begin, quickly drop in the comments. What color are you wearing right now? Let's see who looks the cutest in our soft little sleepy cuties family. Okay, ready? Tonight we begin a dreamy, playful journey, exploring the beautiful qualities of our clever, tiny friend, Jerry. You might know him as the little mouse from Tom and Jerry. Oh, but behind the chases and chaos, Jerry's got one brilliant brain. So snuggle in, pull your blanket up, and let's begin with the first thing that makes Jerry shine, cleverness. The dream opens inside a quiet kitchen. The moon glows through the curtains. The clock ticks softly on the wall, and under the floorboards, a tiny mouse hole flickers with candlelight. Jerry stretches his arms, yawns. Another peaceful night? Or so it seems. Suddenly, a creak, a shuffle. The fridge door opens. It's Tom. He tiptoes like a cartoon ninja, eyes narrow, mouth smirking. He knows Jerry's awake. He knows cheese is involved. And tonight, he has a plan. But so does Jerry. Tom sets a trap, a wedge of cheese under a box and held up by a string. Classic. Jerry peeks from behind a spoon. His whiskers twitch. Really, he seems to think. And with a tiny shake of his head, he begins his counter plan. He climbs the counter using a ribbon, tiptoes past a sleeping toaster, and drops a small marble into a bowl of jelly. The ripple bounces. The jelly jiggles. A spoon catapults. Clang! The trap goes off, but it catches nothing but air. Tom looks confused. Jerry? He's already sipping warm milk behind a sugar jar. Watching. Grinning. Later, Tom tries again. He dresses like a wedge of cheese. Yes, Tom disguises himself. He waits silently, ready to pounce when Jerry approaches. But Jerry, he sends in a decoy, a tiny toy mouse, pulled with thread from the shadows. Tom pounces, but lands in a bowl of whipped cream. Sploosh! Jerry peeks around the corner. His tail flicks once, mischievous and pleased. Not cruel, just clever. As the house grows sleepier, Tom curls up beside the fridge, tired, sticky, confused. Jerry? He settles into bed made from a matchbox and cotton balls. A pencil eraser for a pillow. The tiniest blanket a handkerchief folded 4 times. And on his little wooden nightstand, a crumb of cheese, a walnut shell cup, and a thimble of warm tea. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He just outthought. And now he rests. A soft tapping on his tiny door. Tap, tap, tap. Jerry's eyes flutter open. He yawns, stretches, and walks over to the mousehole entrance. Standing there is a baby duck, yellow, round, and wide-eyed, shivering. Tears in his eyes. He's lost. Jerry's heart melts immediately. He brings the duckling inside, wraps him in a cotton ball, and gives him a drop of milk in a walnut shell. The duckling sniffles, then speaks in tiny squeaks. He got separated from his family. They were headed toward the pond behind the house, but Tom chased them, and now he can't find his way. Jerry gently pats the duckling's head. It's okay, his eyes say. We'll get you home. But they'll have to be smart. Tom is still awake, pacing the hallway. He's suspicious after last night's whipped cream incident. So, Jerry begins planning. He gathers his supplies. A long piece of thread, a pinch of flour, 1 single toothpick, and a leaf folded like a tiny sled. He whispers his plan to the duckling. The duckling blinks, then nods. Jerry ties the thread to the leaf. He coats the hallway tiles in flour using a spoon. Then, using the flour dust, he traces Tom's footprints, mapping out his patrol route like a tiny detective. Finally, when Tom turns the corner, Jerry and the duckling slide across the hallway on the leaf sled, pulled by the thread tied to a rolling spoon, set off like a pulley system from across the room. Tom hears a whoosh, but by the time he turns around, he only sees a feather floating. They reach the garden door. Jerry boosts the duckling through a tiny crack, and on the other side, quacks his family. Mama Duck rushes forward. The little duck jumps into her feathers with a happy chirp. He turns back to Jerry, waves his wing, and disappears into the tall grass. Jerry watches from the crack in the door, then slowly walks back inside, smiling, because he didn't just outsmart Tom tonight. He helped someone feel safe again. And that's the best kind of cleverness there is. Hey, sleepyhead, I know you are enjoying the journey. That's great. Now get still. Because this part of Jerry's clever little journey is full of soft lights, birthday cake, and quiet genius. It's a birthday. The big orange tabby Butch is throwing a party in the living room. There's streamers, balloons, music, and more milk bowls than anyone could count. All the cats are there, even Tom, dressed in a tiny waiter vest, trying to stay calm, because he knows Jerry's somewhere nearby. But Jerry, he isn't there to crash the party. Not tonight. He's come for something important. See, upstairs in the attic is a lonely kitten. The birthday wasn't meant for her. She's too quiet, too small, forgotten. So Jerry made her a gift, something simple but sweet. A paper flower folded from a candy wrapper, tied with a string, sprinkled with the tiniest drop of perfume from the dressing table. But how do you get through a party full of curious cats? You get clever. Jerry studies the room from a crack behind the baseboard. There's a giant balloon bouquet by the dessert table. Beneath it, a gift cart with wheels. Perfect. He jumps onto the cart, tucks himself beneath the wrapping paper, and lets the balloon strings drift him forward. Soft, silent, floating, right past Tom, who's too busy watching Butch do a clumsy dance. Next obstacle, the stairs, too risky to climb. So Jerry uses a ribbon, like a rope, tied to the gift's bow, and swings upward with perfect balance. He lands on the banister, skates across it like a silver rail, then drops down onto the carpet and zips through a crack in the attic door. He made it. Inside, the kitten is curled in an old blanket. She hears the tiny tap of his feet and looks up surprised. Jerry walks forward gently. No words. Just the soft offering of the flower. She blinks, then smiles. The kind of smile that says, "You remembered me?" The party noise fades below, and upstairs, two small hearts sit together in the quiet, beneath twinkle lights in the attic rafters. Jerry doesn't stay long. He just makes sure she's okay. Then slips out the way he came, leaving behind one gift and a big moment of magic. Because cleverness isn't always used for escape. Sometimes it's used for inclusion, to find a way in when the world has forgotten someone else. Maybe you've done that too. Maybe you've noticed who's left out and found a quiet way to bring them in. That's more than kindness. That's more than brilliance. That's beautiful cleverness. Up next, Jerry builds something unexpected. Not a trick, not a trap, but a clever, quiet rescue. The dream begins on a rainy evening. The thunder is soft, like distant drums under a heavy blanket. Raindrops patter against the windows, and the house is dim, calm, sleepy. But not for Tom. Tom is in the hallway, staring at something big, metal, and terribly tempting. A new mousetrap. But this isn't the classic kind with cheese and springs. It's something fancy and automated, set by the homeowner earlier that day. A blinking light, a pressure pad, a robotic arm. Tom doesn't understand it, but he's convinced. Jerry must be nearby, and he's ready to prove himself. Jerry is nearby. Tucked safely inside the pantry wall, he watches quietly through a tiny knot in the wood. He sees Tom inching toward the trap, step by step, paw by paw. Tom doesn't realize if he steps on that pressure pad, the metal arm will snap shut, hard. And Jerry knows it. He could let it happen. He could let the trap teach its lesson. But Jerry doesn't want revenge. He wants peace. So, he gets clever. He scrambles into the cabinet, finds a paperclip, a button, and a long shoelace from the laundry basket. He ties, loops, wraps, fastens. Until he's built a small pulley trap of his own, one that hangs just above the pressure pad. He sets it in motion. And just as Tom steps forward, kerplunk! A mug of flour drops from above. Poof! Covering Tom in a cloud of white fluff. Startled, Tom leaps backward, tripping, sliding, spinning, right into a pile of towels. Safe, soft, untrapped. He blinks through the flour, confused. Jerry peeks around the corner. No teasing, no running, just a nod. A little bow, a little smirk, as if to say, you would have done the same. Or, maybe you wouldn't. But I did. And then, Jerry's gone again, into the walls, into the hush of the house, as the rain hums gently on. Take a slow breath. Pull that blanket just a little higher. And let's tiptoe with Jerry into the attic, where something strange is happening. It's a quiet morning. The rain has stopped. Sunlight filters through dusty windows. And up in the attic, a soft sound began. A squeak. Not Jerry. Not Tom. Something else. It's faint. Frightened. Like someone's lost. Or hiding. Jerry hears it from his mouse hole near the stairs. He stops brushing his whiskers. And he listens. Without a word, Jerry grabs his explorer belt, a tiny thread with a spool of string, a paperclip key, and a crayon stub for marking clues. He climbs into the attic through a crack in the wall. It's quiet up here. Dusty. Still. But the squeak comes again. Quick. Sharp. Then gone. He follows it past old boxes, broken toys, and creaky floorboards. Suddenly, a shadow darts behind a bookstack. Jerry freezes. Not scared. Just curious. He moves closer, steps soft, careful. Then he sees it. A tiny mouse, even smaller than him. Fur ruffled. Eyes wide. Trapped inside a cardboard box that's tipped sideways. The edge too steep to climb. The little mouse looks up at Jerry. Hopeful. Jerry doesn't speak. He just thinks. And then he acts. He grabs a popsicle stick from a craft box nearby, breaks it in half, tapes it with string to a button, creates a tiny stair ramp using pencil shavings. It takes time. He tests it twice, then nods. Gently, he lowers it into the box. The little mouse climbs carefully, stumbles once, and makes it out. Safe. They sit together for a moment in the sunlight. Jerry offers the crumb from his satchel. The little mouse squeaks softly and thanks. And just like that, the attic isn't silent anymore. There's breathing. friendship, peace. And it was Jerry's clever little heart that brought it back. Now, let's curl into the soft part of tonight's tale. The part where cleverness becomes play. It's early evening. The sun is going down, casting golden light through the windows. Tom's chasing his tail in the hallway, bored, restless, clumsy. No plans, no dinner yet. Just energy and confusion. And Jerry? He watches from the top of the bookshelf, eyes glinting. Not with mischief, but with inspiration. Because tonight, Jerry isn't in the mood to escape. Tonight, he wants to make Tom laugh. So he gets to work. He gathers an old sock, a yo-yo string, a marble, a bell from a broken cat toy, and a jelly bean. He ties the sock into a balloon, drops the marble inside for weight, attaches the bell like a jingle, then draws a little face on it using blueberry juice in the corner of a sponge. He hides behind the curtain. And when Tom passes by, boop, the jelly bean puppet swings down and bops him on the nose. Tom gasps, backs up, then tilts his head. He swats at it. It bounces back. He swats again. The bell jingles. He snorts, then laughs. A real laugh. A belly giggle. One that makes his tail thump. Jerry peeks out from behind the curtain, smiling. Then he drops the rest of the invention, a tiny parade of silly gadgets tied together. The sock puppet. The jelly bean bounce stick. A spoon that flings popcorn in slow motion. A rubber band piano. Tom watches it all unfold. And for once, he doesn't chase. He just sits and giggles. Later that night, and Jerry curls up inside his little home beneath the baseboard. The jelly bean puppet now hangs by his bed like a tiny dream catcher. Tom? He's asleep near the radiator, purring softly. No drama. No battle. Just peace. Because cleverness isn't always about strategy. Sometimes it's about play. Before we begin the second quality of Jerry, think about, well, what's something small you've been brave about lately? Even if it's just getting out of bed, speaking up once, or trying again. You're part of a cozy, brave little family here, and every win counts. Now we enter the world of Jerry's bravery. Not loud, not showy, just real. The house is quiet again. Evening has stretched across the sky like a soft purple blanket. But something's not right in the garden. The wind is too strong. The lights are flickering. And a strange shadow has been spotted near the old woodpile. Everyone's nervous. The birds have flown off. The kittens won't play near the fence. Even Tom has retreated indoors, pretending he's not scared but hiding under a pillow. But Jerry? Jerry is watching. Not shaking, not rushing, just watching. Then he ties on a little red thread like a scarf. Takes one tiny flashlight he made from a battery and foil and steps into the grass. Alone. He moves carefully through the weeds. The wind brushes against his fur. The moonlight spills in slivers across the garden. He hears a rustle, a thump, and then a squeaky cry. It's not a monster. It's a small mole stuck under a tangle of fallen branches, too frightened to move. Jerry doesn't hesitate. He uses a twig like a lever, wedges a stone under the base, and begins pulling branch after branch aside. The mole sniffles, shivers, but Jerry is calm, focused, brave. Finally, the last branch rolls away, and the mole stumbles out, free. He clings to Jerry in relief. Jerry gently pats his back. No drama, no spotlight, just bravery in action. He walks the mole home through the grass. The wind starts to slow. The air warms. Back at the house, Tom peeks from behind the curtain and sees Jerry walking in the moonlight, calm, steady, unshaken. Because that's bravery. Not the loud kind. The soft kind. The kind that acts even while afraid. The kind that shows up even when no one's watching. Now let your arms go loose. Let the tension fall from your toes. Because this part of the story begins with a storm. The wind howls. The trees sway like sleepy giants. And the rain taps wildly at the windows like it's trying to get in. Inside the house, the lights flicker. Tom is pacing the hallway. He's not in chase mode tonight. He's anxious. Uneasy. There's a noise in the kitchen. Low. Growling. Not a cat. Not a mouse. Something else. Tom tries to puff himself up, but Jerry sees it, the nervous twitch in his tail. The way he keeps glancing at the back door. Jerry watches from the stair rail. Ears forward. Alert. He could hide. He could let Tom deal with it. Tom always chases him. But Jerry doesn't think like that. Not tonight. He grabs a spool of thread, a wooden bead, a bent pin, a paperclip, and quietly slips down the hallway, past the flickering lamp, and into the dark kitchen. There, just beyond the spilled flour, is a raccoon, dripping wet, sniffing around, knocking over jars. It growls again, and then it sees Tom. Tom freezes. The raccoon takes a step forward, then another, and suddenly, whiz! Something hits the pan hanging above its head. A bead. Launched from Jerry's slingshot. The raccoon growls, confused. It looks around. But Jerry's gone. Then clank. Another pan follows a trap Jerry triggered from under the sink. Loud, startling. The raccoon stumbles back, spooked, slipping on the flour, and bolts back out the door into the rainy night. Gone. Tom stands in the middle of the kitchen, speechless, still dusted in flour. And Jerry? He peeks from behind a spoon, nods once, then vanishes back into the walls. No credit. No victory lap. Just bravery. The kind that saves, not for praise, but because it's right. Now he's about to show us that the strongest mice carry the deepest memories and choose to grow from them. The sky is soft and gray. A gentle drizzle taps against the attic window. Everything feels calm, but heavy. Jerry sits by a tiny photo, a faded corner of an old family picture torn from a magazine. He's had it tucked away in a matchbox for years. And tonight, he finally takes it out. He sighs. Because sometimes, even the cleverest, kindest mouse has something he regrets. A long time ago, before this house, before Tom, Jerry once lived in a barn with his cousin, Nibbles. You know him, the little one with the blue diaper, full of energy, always following Jerry everywhere. One day they played a game too far from the mouse hole. The barn cat showed up. Jerry told Nibbles to run. He stayed behind to distract the cat. But in the chaos, Jerry ran one way. Nibbles ran the other. And for hours afterward, Jerry couldn't find him. They found each other the next day, safe, hugging. No blame, just relief. But Jerry never forgot that feeling of not being there when it mattered most. Tonight, under the attic lamp, he's decided something. It's time to let that weight go. So he walks into the hallway, down into the pantry, and gently opens a box of old keepsakes where Nibbles' blanket is folded. He lays the picture inside, whispers something soft, and lights a match. Not to burn it, just to warm the room, to say goodbye to guilt, to hold on to love, not shame. Then Jerry does something brave. He writes a letter, tiny words on a bread tag. He'll send it to Nibbles tomorrow with a bird messenger. It says, "I still remember. I am still sorry. But I know now we were both brave, and you were never alone." He folds the letter, climbs into his bed, and sighs. Not a tired sigh, a peaceful one. Because sometimes bravery means finally telling the truth to yourself and letting your heart breathe again. Now Jerry is about to set sail into a basement no one else dares to go. It starts with a drip, then a trickle, then a soft splash. A summer storm hits the house, and water begins slipping through a forgotten basement window. No one notices, not Tom, who's snoozing by the heater, not the humans upstairs. But Jerry does. He hears the echo from the floorboards, feels the strange chill in the walls. He grabs his satchel, a spool of thread, a candle stub and a bottle cap, and heads down into the dark. The air is damp, the stairs are slippery, and the water is already rising. In the far corner, something moves. A rustle, a cough. It's a hedgehog, a small one, caught in a storage bin that's slowly filling with water. He's shivering. Too heavy to climb, too scared to shout. And the water is at his paws. Jerry doesn't panic. He thinks, then acts. He ties the candle to the thread, drops it into the bin like a tiny raft. It floats perfectly. He gestures to the hedgehog. Step on. The hedgehog blinks, then obeys. Jerry pulls the thread hand over hand from the ledge above. The candle raft wobbles, spins once, but holds. He drags it slowly across the water toward a stack of paint cans. When the raft bumps the side, he swings down on a rubber band waquet and offers his paw. Together, they climb, wet, shaky, but safe. They sit there for a while, watching the water swirl below, not speaking, just breathing. Jerry lights the candle. Its glow flickers softly in the damp. The hedgehog looks at him, grateful, silent. No introductions needed, just warmth. Later, when the rain stops, the water begins to drain. Jerry helps the hedgehog out through a crack in the wall, leads him to a dry patch beneath the porch. No spotlight, no applause, just bravery. The house is bustling today. The humans are hosting a garden lunch. The kitchen is full of plates, clinks, crumbs, and a new guest. Butch the big loud alley cat. He's puffed up, loud-mouthed, bossing Tom around like he owns the place. Tom pretends not to mind, but his tail tells the truth. It flicks, low, uneasy. Even Spike the bulldog isn't around today. No backup. Butch is king of the house, and he knows it. Then Jerry walks in. Tiny, quiet, unbothered. He slips onto the counter, grabs breadcrumb, nibbles. Butch sees him. "Hey," he snarls. "What's that doing in here?" Tom gulps. Jerry blinks, then calmly keeps nibbling. Butch stomps closer. "Out! Now, or I'll squash you like a..." Jerry looks up and smiles. He walks right to the edge of the counter, points at the bread, and splits it in two. One half for himself. The other, he gently pushes toward Tom. Tom freezes. The room goes still. Jerry looks at Butch, unshaken, a silent message in his eyes. "You don't scare me, and you don't get to decide who belongs here." Butch growls, lunges, but before he can reach the counter, his paw slips on a puddle of sauce. Wham! Down he goes, face first, into a cream pie. The humans gasp. Laughter erupts. Butch stumbles out of the kitchen, grumbling, messy, furious, and defeated. Tom stares at Jerry, then at the breadcrumb. He sits beside it and eats it, slowly, silently, not as a rival, but as a guest. A guest Jerry welcomed. Because bravery isn't always fighting. Sometimes it's standing still while someone big tries to scare you and not blinking. The house is calm. Evening sunlight slides in golden through the windows. It's that sleepy hour when the whole world sighs and rests. Tom is snoring in a sunbeam. The raccoons outside are chasing shadows. Even the humans are quiet. But Jerry's at the window, looking up. There's a bird, a big, gentle pigeon named Hazel, resting on the windowsill. She's got a note tied to her leg. From Nibbles. Come visit. Come see the barn again. It's all safe now. I kept our old jam jar. Let's laugh again. Jerry holds the note in his paws and breathes. He's been here for a long time. This house, this life. The maze of mouse holes and mischief. It's familiar. It's safe. But the barn? That's memory. That's wonder. That's home. He walks through the kitchen one last time. Nods to Spike, who grunts softly from his dog bed. Leaves a ribbon behind a gift for Tom. Tiny, blue, quiet. Then, with his satchel packed, he climbs onto Hazel's back. And with one deep breath, they lift off. The air is cool. The breeze gentle. Below, rooftops stretch like folded blankets. Trees sway like lullabies. And the stars begin to blink above. Jerry doesn't know exactly what's next. What tomorrow will bring. What the barn even looks like now. But he trusts. He trusts his tiny heart. His clever paws. And the sky ahead. Because that's bravery, too. Saying goodbye. Leaping forward. And not because you're fearless, but because your hope is stronger than your fear. And maybe you're ready for something, too. Something new. Something uncertain. A chapter that begins with just one quiet yes. If so, you're already brave. Let's explore something gentle and golden. Kindness to the tiny heart of Jerry. The house is unusually still today. No thumping. No chasing. No pies flying through the air. Just the faint sound of Tom snoozing. And the soft ticking of the old kitchen clock. Jerry could have taken the chance to nap. Instead, he tiptoes across the floor, carrying something in his arms. A crumpled tissue. Inside it, a sunflower seed wrapped in cotton. He's tending to it like a treasure. You see, yesterday, Jerry found a little baby bird. It had fallen from a nest just outside the window. Tiny. Trembling. Alone. Jerry didn't panic. He gently picked it up. Built a small nest from scraps and tucked the baby bird beside his bed. Now he's tending to it, feeding it drops of water, crushed cracker crumbs, keeping it warm with his nightlight. Tom saw it, of course, and rolled his eyes. Why bother, his look seemed to say. But Jerry didn't flinch. He just whispered, because I can. That's the thing about Jerry's kindness. It's quiet, instinctive, and never waiting for applause. He leaves crumbs for the ants, pulls splinters from the wooden floor, fixes holes in socks the humans throw away. Not for reward, just because he cares. That night, the baby bird peeps. Jerry sits beside it, humming a soft tune. A melody only small hearts can hear. The room is warm. The shadows are gentle. And kindness is everywhere. Even Tom pauses at the door and watching. Not chasing. Just thinking. And maybe you've done something like that too. A text. A hug. A kind word. A small gesture no one noticed, but you knew mattered. That's what makes your heart shine. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you kind. We explore something gentle and golden, kindness, through the tiny heart of Jerry. The house is unusually still today. No thumping, no chasing, no pies flying through the air. Just the faint sound of Tom snoozing and the soft ticking of the old kitchen clock. Jerry could have taken the chance to nap. Instead, he tiptoes across the floor, carrying something in his arms. A crumpled tissue. Inside it, a sunflower seed wrapped in cotton. He's tending to it like a treasure. You see, yesterday Jerry found a little baby bird. It had fallen from a nest just outside the window. Tiny. Trembling. Alone. Jerry didn't panic. He gently picked it up, built a small nest from scraps, and tucked the baby bird beside his bed. Now he's tending to it, feeding it drops of water, crushed cracker crumbs, keeping it warm with his nightlight. Tom saw it, of course, and rolled his eyes. Why bother? His look seemed to say. But Jerry didn't flinch. He just whispered, "Because I can." That's the thing about Jerry's kindness. It's quiet, instinctive, and never waiting for applause. He leaves crumbs for the ants, pulls splinters from the wooden floor, fixes holes in socks the humans throw away, not for reward, just because he cares. That night, the baby bird peeps. Jerry sits beside it, humming a soft tune, a melody only small hearts can hear. The room is warm, the shadows are gentle, and kindness is everywhere. Even Tom pauses at the door, watching. Not chasing, just thinking. And maybe you've done something like that too. A text, a hug, a kind word. A small gesture no one noticed but you knew mattered. That's what makes your heart shine. That's what makes you special. That's what makes you kind. Now let's snuggle in and follow Jerry D as he meets someone with a very grumbly heart. It begins in the backyard, late afternoon. The clouds are soft, the grass warm. Jerry and Oliver, the little gray mouse, are collecting dandelion seeds, preparing a fluff bed for the baby bird's first flight. But then they hear it, a yelp, sharp, startled, from the hedge. They race over, and there he is, a squirrel, big, scruffy, tail bent sideways, eyes full of pride and pain. "Get lost," he snaps. "I don't need help." But he can't climb the tree. His foot is twisted, his balance off. Jerry stays still, not afraid, not offended, just listening. Minutes pass. The squirrel growls again, tries to hop, fails. Then Jerry moves. He doesn't touch him. He doesn't scold. He just lays a walnut on the ground, rolls it over, and says gently, "I always thought squirrels looked coolest when they were resting." The squirrel blinks. That wasn't expected. Jerry pulls out a spool, ties together a leaf sled, soft moss for padding, 2 bent toothpicks as handles. He pushes it near the squirrel, sits down, and starts quietly nibbling a seed, not forcing, not asking, just offering and waiting. A moment later, shuffle. The squirrel lowers himself onto the sled and says, barely audible, "Fine, just this once." Jerry smiles and says nothing. That night, Jerry builds the squirrel a nest in the hollow of the old fence post. Padded, hidden safe. He doesn't check in constantly. He doesn't lecture. He just leaves snacks nearby. And a hand-drawn map of soft branches, places the squirrel can climb without needing his tail just yet. And slowly, the growling stops. The squirrel begins to heal. Not because someone fixed him, but because someone believed he could. And maybe you've done that too. Been patient with someone who was prickly. Offered care without demanding change. Love from the side, not the front. That's not just kindness. That's wisdom. That's you. It starts with a feeling, not a problem. Not a chase. Just a quiet, tired feeling in the house. The humans have been busy. Tom has been sluggish. Even Spike hasn't barked once today. The baby bird has flown off on her own now. Oliver has been reading quietly. The house feels low, Jerry notices. Not because anyone tells him, but because he watches. The sag in Tom's whiskers. The stillness in the hallway. The way no one's humming anymore. So he decides. Tonight, the house gets a surprise. He gets to work. No big announcements. Just action. He unrolls the ribbon scraps. Cuts confetti from an old candy wrapper. Turns buttons into balloon weights. Draws tiny signs that say things like, "You're doing great." Nap goals achieved. Best tail flicker. He hangs them with thread. He sprinkles cinnamon under the heater. It smells like pie. And for the final touch, he invites everyone. Yes, even Butch the alley cat. Even the grumpy squirrel. Even the raccoons. No speeches. No long rules. Just, come. There's snacks and smiles. You belong. At twilight, they arrive one by one. Some sheepish. Some curious. Some wide-eyed. Tom blinks at the sparkling garland. Then slowly curls up next to a bowl of crunchy stars Jerry made from cereal flakes. Spike wears a party hat made from a cupcake wrapper. Oliver's helping refill the nut bowl. Even the grumpy squirrel brings an acorn pie. And Jerry, he's not in the middle of it. He's near the edge, sitting calmly, watching everyone feel seen. The party is soft, no wild dancing, just stories, gentle music, a shared moment of, oh, I didn't realize how much I needed this. And maybe you've given that to someone too. A surprise text, a quiet reminder, a you matter when they'd forgotten. That's kindness on a bigger scale. That's what makes the world feel safe. That's you. The party from last night, still warm in everyone's memory. Even Tom looked a little lighter. The grumpy squirrel nodded at Jerry this morning. And Butch, well, Butch didn't growl once. But then Jerry returns to the party space and gasps. The signs are gone. The ribbons, torn. Confetti, soggy and spilled water. The snack bowls tipped over. The cinnamon scent, replaced with a faint smell of shoe polish. Jerry looks around and sees him. A new mouse. Not Oliver. A rogue mouse from the basement pipes. Slick fur. A crooked smirk. Didn't like how cozy it was getting up here, he shrugs. Thought I'd, mix it up. Jerry blinks. His tail twitches once, then stills. He could yell. He could chase him out. He should, maybe. But instead, he takes a step forward and says, "Why?" The other mouse hesitates, then scoffs, then mutters, "'Cause no one ever made parties for me." Jerry breathes in, deep, steady. And what he does next changes everything. He starts cleaning, not angrily, just carefully. He picks up the ribbon, untangles the streamers, dabs the water. And the other mouse, just watches, frozen. "You're not mad?" he blurts. Jerry looks up. "I'm kind." That's not the same as soft. Later that night, a new sign appears above the shelf where the party had been. "Everyone deserves a second chance, even the sour ones." And beside it, a tiny acorn cup of juice. And 2 seats, side by side. The rogue mouse returns the next day. Quietly. He helps hang the last streamer. No one claps. But Jerry smiles. Because that's what kindness is. Not pretending the hurt didn't happen, but choosing not to pass it on. And maybe you've done that too. Held your heart open when someone tried to close it. Maybe you've chosen peace over being right. Love over winning. That's not weakness. That's courage. Let's get cozy in our giggles. Because now, Jerry's not hiding or running. He's playing. And everyone in the house is going to feel it. It starts with a string. Just a plain shoelace Jerry found beneath the sofa. But in his little hands, it becomes a masterpiece. He winds it through the hallway like a spaghetti trail, tucks the end into a cereal box, and hides behind a stack of books. Tom spots it. His whiskers twitch. He follows the string, then tugs. Poof! Cereal explodes in a perfect rainbow. Tom flails. Jerry cackles. Not meanly. Just joyfully. Like, wasn't that fun? And honestly, even Tom lets out a small, confused chuckle. Because Jerry's playfulness isn't about tricking. It's about lightening the mood. He does it when the humans fight. He does it when Spike growls in his sleep. He does it when the air feels too heavy. He plays to remind everyone that life can still be silly. Later, Jerry bounces a rubber ball down the stairs. It hits a spoon, flips into a cup, and launches a marshmallow straight into his mouth. He claps for himself. Even the baby spider in the window web seems impressed. Then comes his favorite trick, the shadow waltz. He waits until the lights are low and dances in silhouette across the living room wall. Tom watches, pretending not to. But then, quietly, he joins in. 2 shadows. A cat. A mouse. Spinning. And no sound. Just laughter in the quiet. And maybe you've had moments like that, too. Where you made a silly face. Sang off-key. Played prank that ended in hugs. That wasn't childish. That was playful. And it healed someone, even if you didn't know it. Now, Jerry's about to turn an ordinary autumn day into something unforgettable. The backyard is quiet. The wind is gentle. The trees are shedding soft golden leaves, like sleepy little sighs from the sky. Jerry steps outside, paws crunching gently on the path. He doesn't have a plan, but he feels it. The play is out here, waiting. Then he hears it, a sigh. From up on the fence, a little bluebird, fluffed and grumpy. "Everyone flew south," she mutters. "I'm late, and bored, and cold." Jerry waves. "I've got something better than warm." He picks up a dry leaf, spins it in the air. It twirls like a ballerina. The bluebird tilts her head. Jerry tosses another, then another. He lines them up like cards, labels them with chalk. Sun, wind, wiggle, sleepy. And just like that, leaf toss, fortune game. You pick a leaf, Jerry grins. Throw it in the air. Where it lands tells you your day. The bluebird raises a feathered brow, then shrugs. She tosses. Wiggle. Jerry gasps. "Oh, that means dance for 20 seconds. She blinks, then flaps, then laughs, and wiggles. They play for hours. He turns pine cones into goalposts, builds a slide from a soda can and grass blades, even teaches her how to balance on a floating bottle cap in the bird bath. Winner of balance boat, he declares, champion of leaf fate. As the sun sets, the bluebird sighs again, but this time it's soft. That was fun, she murmurs. Jerry just smiles. You'll fly south tomorrow, he says, but tonight you played. Now Jerry is going to show her how playfulness can melt even the toughest bark. Let's begin. Spike is not in a good mood. He's had a long day. No sun. His bone is missing. And the humans just moved his bed 2 inches to the left. 2 inches. Unacceptable. He growls at his water bowl, snorts at his reflection, and barks at the wind like it insulted his honor. Jerry peeks from under the couch and giggles. Not to mock, but because he's seen this before. Spike isn't angry. He's frustrated. And what works best when frustration bubbles? Play. So Jerry makes a plan. First, he rolls a tennis ball across the floor, just near enough to Spike's paw for it to bump him gently. Spike snorts, then glares. Jerry disappears. Second, a line of cheese crumbs, leading to a soft, squeaky rubber bone. The one Spike thought he'd lost. Spike lifts an eyebrow. Crunch. One crumb. Crunch. Another. Then the squeak. His ears perk. But no one's there. Just a little hand-drawn sign. Cheer up, tough guy, he huffs. Just once, then picks up the bone and squeaks it. Once, twice, then laughs. A low, rumbling laugh that sounds like a truck engine hugging a teddy bear. Jerry pops up wearing a sock as a cape. Ready for belly flops? He squeaks. Spike doesn't say yes, but he doesn't say no, which means game on. They tumble across the rug. Jerry balances on Spike's nose like a circus mouse. Spike tosses him gently into a pile of pillows. They play for 10 whole minutes. Then Spike curls up, bone tucked under his chin, tail wagging just a little, and whispers, "Thanks, Squirt." Jerry winks. Because that's the goal. Not just fun, but connection. Laughter where there was a growl. And maybe you've done that too. Brought light to someone's cloudy mood. Shared a joke when they didn't ask for one. Made someone feel like they could breathe again. That's not just playfulness. That's care. That's you. Now, Jerry is about to uncover a whole attic full of wonder. Let's begin. The stairs to the attic creak. Only once. Jerry climbs carefully, a flashlight tied to his tail, and a cracker tucked in his pocket just in case. It's dusty. Still, quiet in a way that makes everything feel paused. But Jerry doesn't feel scared. He feels curious. He pokes around, past old trunks, past paintings of humans no one remembers, past a tower of forgotten shoeboxes. Then under a blanket, he finds it. A toy chest. Wooden. Chipped. Covered in scribbles from some long-ago child's daydreams. He lifts the lid and gasps. Inside, a music box that still plays, just barely. Jacks and a red rubber ball. A tiny toy drum. A yo-yo, dusty but still coiled. A doll with one button eye and a ribbon smile. Jerry doesn't hesitate. He jumps in, and the play begins. He rolls across the drum like a circus act, spins the yo-yo down from the ledge and back up again, stacks blocks into a teetering tower and lets them tumble in a soft, joyful crash. He even ties a string to the music box key and makes it dance with him, a little wooden ballerina and a mouse. twirling in moonlight. Then he hears footsteps. Oliver. And the grumpy squirrel. And yes, even Tom peeking in from the attic hatch. Jerry waves, and then tosses them each a toy. And just like that, the attic becomes a playground, a safe haven, a world of pretend. They race marbles, build a stuffed animal pyramid, even take turns pretending the old umbrella is a spaceship. For one night, they're all small and free. And maybe you've had that moment too, where play helped you remember how light your heart can be, that you're allowed to imagine, allowed to explore, that you don't have to be useful to be full of joy. That's the gift you still carry. That's what makes your soul sparkle. Now Jerry is about to teach the tiniest mice how to be brave enough to giggle. The pantry was never loud, but lately it's been too quiet. 3 baby mice had moved in, tiny, shy, twitchy-eared, and scared of everything. Every creak made them flinch. Every shadow sent them back into their matchbox beds. They barely even spoke. Jerry noticed. He didn't force it. He just began playing near them, day one. He bounced a cotton ball across the tile, softly, carefully. Day 2. He dragged a crayon behind him like a dragon tail. Day 3. He wore a bottle cap as a hat and wobbled dramatically. Day 4. One baby mouse giggled. Just once, then turned pink and hid. Jerry smiled. Progress. By the end of the week, they were watching, eyes wide, tails curled with quiet delight. Jerry approached. No words. Just a small scrap of felt and 2 buttons. He held it up. A handmade puppet. Sir Bouncy Whiskers, he declared. And the babies? They laughed. They didn't just laugh. They joined in. They made puppets from bread crusts, paper sails from tissue scraps, a slide from a teabag string. Jerry taught them hop tag, shadow flipping, whisker dancing. He never pushed, never scolded, just modeled joy and waited patiently until their little hearts remembered. Play is safe. Play is allowed. Play is healing. And maybe you've done that too. Sat beside someone hurting, made space for joy to return slowly, held laughter gently in your hands and shared it with someone who forgot how it felt. Now, that's not just playful. That's compassion in motion. That's you. Hey, Jerry has a surprise. And this time, it's not just for a few. It's for everyone. It begins with a whisper, a feeling, a hush that floats through the house like gentle music. Jerry looks out the window. The stars are bright. The grass is cool. The air smells like vanilla and quiet promises. It's the perfect night. He grabs his notebook. Tonight, a Starfield sleepy game. Open to all. He works quietly but quickly. In the yard, he sets up a leaf slide down the hill, a path of glowing mushrooms, borrowed from the garden gnomes, firefly lanterns strung across the bushes. And best of all, a giant sleeping bag fort made from towels and twine. He leaves tiny invitations. Come outside, bring no worries, just wonder. Jerry, and they come, one by one. Tom, confused but curious. Spike with his bone and blanket. Oliver and the baby mice blinking sleepily. Even the grumpy squirrel who pretends to be annoyed but stays the whole night. They sit in the glowing yard. No competition. No chasing. Just a family. Jerry hands out acorn cookies. Tom starts a soft round of stargazing tag where you point to a star and everyone makes up a name for it. Snorblinker, Cheddar Comet, Whisker Wish, Then at midnight, Jerry climbs the leaf slide one last time, tugs a string, and suddenly, 1,000 tiny sparkles fall from the tree above. Just glitter. Just paper stars. But in that moment, it feels like magic. The little ones cheer. Tom grins. Spike wipes a tear. Jerry bows. No big show. No grand finale. Just a gentle moment where everyone remembers we are safe. We are loved. And joy is for all of us. And maybe you've done that too. Planned a moment. Made space for light. Invited others in even when they didn't know they needed it. That's the heart of playfulness. That's you. Now Jerry is about to show us just how strong that quiet love can be. It's early morning. The house is hushed. The sun hasn't stretched yet. But Jerry is already awake. He's not running. Not playing. He's watching. From beneath the radiator, he sees the tiniest of tiny mouse children. Just one. Creep out from under the pantry door. She's no bigger than a thimble. Eyes blinking sleepily. Wobbling on soft paws. Jerry's ears perk. This baby mouse, she's not supposed to be out alone. And he knows the house. He knows that in 5 minutes. Spike will wake with a bark. Tom will yawn and stretch. And someone will open the back door, letting in the wind and the world. Too many things for one little one to handle. So Jerry moves. Not loudly. Not rushing. Just quiet steps. He dashes up the counter, pushes a tiny bit of cracker down near the floor, and leaves a trail gentle and sweet leading her back to the pantry. She follows it like it's a treasure map. But halfway there, Tom, eyes half-lidded, big paw sliding off the couch. He doesn't see the baby mouse yet, but he might. Jerry's breath stills. He waits. Then he darts. A squeaky toy. Under the table. Right near Tom's tail. Squeak. Tom jumps. Lands in a pile of cushions. By the time he gets his balance, the baby mouse is gone. Safe. Back in the pantry. Jerry doesn't say anything. He just slides the door gently closed and leaves one tiny note drawn in chalk beside her bed. You're safe. Always. And maybe you've been that person too. The one who noticed. The one who stepped in, quietly but powerfully. That kind of protectiveness doesn't need a spotlight. It just needs love. And that's you. Now, Jerry will remind us that sometimes protectiveness means speaking up softly, kindly, but firmly. Let's begin. It was a quiet midday. The house had the sleepy hum of a fridge and sunlight. Tom was napping. The baby mice were coloring with berry juice on scrap paper. Oliver, the shy teenage mouse, was stacking bottle caps into a tower. And that's when Butch walked in, the alley cat. A rough voice, cool grin. Not always mean, but not always nice either. He was just visiting, but that didn't mean he had to frown at everything. He looked at Oliver's tower, smirked, and said, you call that building? The baby mice froze. Oliver's paws trembled. Butch wasn't trying to be cruel. He just didn't know how to be soft. Still, Oliver's face crumpled. He turned away. And that's when Jerry stepped in. He didn't shout. He didn't scold. He walked over to Butch, handed him a thread spool, and said, let's see what you can build, tough guy. Butch blinked. What? Just for fun, Jerry smiled. No teasing, just building. Let's go. Butch tried. Stacked a few things. Everything tumbled. The baby mice giggled kindly. Oliver turned back around and offered Butch a better base. No, like this, he whispered. And slowly, carefully, They built something together. No one apologized. But something changed. Respect began to grow. Later that day, Oliver found a tiny chalk heart near his bed. Jerry had drawn it. Underneath it said, "Kind hearts deserve walls to lean on." And maybe you've been that wall too. You stepped in, not with shouting meets, but with steadiness. You gave someone back their dignity. You reminded the world to be gentle. That's protectiveness. That's you. Now Jerry is going to become a little umbrella made of love. The morning had been warm. Lazy sunbeams, chirping birds, and even Spike had dozed off with a butterfly on his nose. The baby mice were outside, playing under the big oak tree, chasing dandelion puffs, building pebble castles. Jerry was nearby, watching, always nearby. Then in a blink, the wind changed. Clouds rolled in, thick and gray. The first drop landed on Oliver's nose. The second hit the toy teacup. By the time the wind howled, the littlest mouse was already crying. Jerry ran, not rushed, not panicked, just steady. He grabbed a big leaf and held it high. "Under here," he called. They scrambled toward him, all four baby mice, paws skidding on the wet grass. He tucked them under the leaf, shielded them with his back. The rain picked up, sharp, cold. But they were warm, pressed close. Then came the wind. It tugged at the leaf, snapped at their tiny feet. Jerry's ears flattened. He looked around, and he saw it. A forgotten shoebox by the garden wall. Perfect shelter. But they'd have to run. He didn't wait. "Hold hands," he whispered. "We move as one." They did. And Jerry led them, step by step, through mud, around puddles, under thorny leaves, until they reached the box. "Safe, dry." Together. Inside, Jerry sat with them. He didn't say, "You're okay now." He just let them rest against his side, wrapped a scrap of cloth over their shoulders, and hummed a soft tune, one he remembered from Muriel's old radio. The storm raged outside, but in that box, there was peace. And maybe you've done that too. Helped someone weather a storm, held space, gave warmth, became a lighthouse in someone else's rough sea. That's true protectiveness. That's you. Now, Jerry is going to say something like that too. And he won't say it loudly. He'll say it with love. Let's begin. The attic was full of quiet. Even the dust was still. Oliver was sitting by the window, his little paws folded in his lap, his eyes filled with clouds. Jerry spotted him from across the rafters. He didn't speak at first, just sat beside him, shoulder to shoulder, tail to tail. Oliver sighed. "I can't do it," he whispered. Jerry tilted his head. "The Sky Project," Oliver said softly. "The one for the baby mice. They wanted a glow-in-the-dark planet ceiling. But I can't get the stars to stick. They fall, I fail, and I don't want to try anymore." Jerry listened, really listened. Then he nodded. He picked up one fallen paper star, pressed it gently in Oliver's paw, and said, "If it falls, it means it's trying." Oliver blinked. Jerry smiled. "Stars fall all the time. We call them wishes. You're allowed to try again. I'll hold the ladder this time." So they went back to work. Jerry steadied the steps, passed the glue cap, held each corner while Oliver carefully pressed the stars onto the ceiling. One by one, they stuck. One by one, the sky began to shine. And later, when the baby mice came in and gasped, when they lay on their backs and pointed and whispered, Oliver beamed. Not proud, not loud, just safe. And tucked behind one of the paper moons, Jerry left a note in glow-in-the-dark ink. You are never failing just because you're not finished. And maybe you've been that voice too. When someone was ready to give up, you helped them try again, with a word, with presence, with patience. That's protectiveness too. That's you. Up next, Jerry is going to protect something just like that. It all began with a crayon. Oliver found a red one broken, but still perfect to him. And on the back of an old cereal box, he started to draw a rocket, a house made of clouds, a whole kingdom of skyfish and moon bunnies. Every day he added more. Little by little, his quiet imagination took shape. He taped it to the inside wall of the pantry, his private dream world. And he told no one. But dreams have energy. One afternoon, Spike, sniffing for cheese, stumbled into the pantry. He saw the drawing. He didn't mean to laugh, but he did. A rocket made of cheese boxes? That'll never fly, Squirt. It wasn't cruel. It was just careless. But it hurt. Oliver looked down. He started tearing the drawing down until Jerry walked in and saw everything. He didn't scold Spike. He didn't fuss at Oliver. He simply walked to the wall and taped the dream back up. Then, using a crayon stub of his own, he added to it. A tiny mouse climbing into the rocket, wearing a peanut shell helmet and a cape made from tissue. He stepped back. Looks like the mission's back on, Jerry smiled. Oliver blinked, then smiled back. That night, Jerry hung a sign outside the pantry. Imagination zone, please remove your doubt before entering. And even Spike, seeing it, left a biscuit outside the door with a sticky note. For the journey. Sorry. And maybe you've done that too. Protected someone's dream. Helped them hold on to it even when others laughed. Even when they doubted it themselves. That's not just kindness. That's bravery. That's you. It started with a sound. A low, far-off rumble. Too deep for most to notice. But Jerry noticed. He paused. Ears perked. The lights in the house flickered. Just once. Then, silence again. But not the safe kind. The waiting kind. The wind outside changed. The air pressed harder against the windows. And in the living room, Tom yawned, then paused mid-stretch. The baby mice looked up from their berry art. Oliver clutched his drawing. Even Spike stood slowly, ears folding back. No one spoke, but they all felt it. Something was coming. Jerry didn't panic. He moved. Fast, gentle. First the little ones. He rolled out the emergency tunnel in the pantry, lined it with soft scraps and thread nests, tucked them inside one by one. Then he calmed Spike. Get the heavy blankets, he said. Stack them at the pantry door. You're our wall tonight. Spike nodded, silent, serious. Tom? He opened his arms wide. Oliver climbed in. And Jerry? He ran upstairs. One last check. The wind howled louder now, an angry, swirling, unfamiliar sound. He tugged windows tight, tied ropes to latches, laid towels at the base of each sill, then paused by the attic. He looked at the stars Oliver had hung, now swaying gently. He whispered to them, "Stay with us," and returned to the pantry. The power went out. The house shook once, or just a shiver. The baby mice whimpered. Spike covered them with his body. Tom clutched Oliver. Oliver clutched his rocket sketch. And Jerry? He stood right by the pantry door, back pressed against it. Eyes wide, but heart calm. Nothing would pass. For one long hour they waited. And the storm, outside and inside, slowly passed, when the sun finally peeked through, when the silence became soft again. Jerry let out the breath he'd been holding. Everyone safe. Everyone held. Not one word was spoken at first. Then the tiniest mouse said, "You are our hero." Jerry smiled. "No, just your friend. And maybe you've been that friend. The one who stands still while others shake. Who doesn't shout orders, but simply shows up. The one who says nothing sometimes, but means everything. That's not just protectiveness. That's love in its purest form. That's you." Let's explore Jerry's creativity, the joyful spark inside him that turns scraps into masterpieces, problems into play, and ordinary days into little adventures. The morning began with a problem. The faucet in the kitchen had sprung a leak. Water dripped, drip, drip, onto the counter, then down to the floor. Humans wouldn't notice until much later, but Jerry did. And instead of panicking, he smiled. He looked around. 2 napkins, 1 spoon, an upside-down jelly jar, and a ribbon from a birthday gift. To most, it was clutter. To Jerry, it was a blueprint. He ran to the drawer under the stove, his secret workshop. Inside were rubber bands, paper clips, buttons, springs, scraps, socks, string, all carefully sorted in matchboxes labeled soggy stuff, spinny things, too weird to toss, and maybe magic. Jerry reached into maybe magic and pulled out a plastic thimble shaped like a duck. He giggled. This was going to be fun. Within 10 minutes, he had built a device. A ribbon pulley, looped through a pencil, balanced across the sink. The spoon caught the drip. The jelly jar below made a soft plink. Each drop triggered the spoon to wobble, turning the duck thimble like a water wheel. And best of all, the water didn't spill. It was collected and made music as it fell. Tom wandered in, yawning, stretching, saw the contraption, froze. Jerry bowed. Tom stared, then blinked and smiled. Creativity isn't always grand. Sometimes it's a little idea that saves the day or turns trouble into art. Jerry didn't just fix the leak. He made it beautiful. And maybe you've done that too. Turned a mess into a moment or made something from nothing. Found delight where others saw disorder. That's not just clever. That's magic. That's you. Now, Jerry is going to be asked that very question. And his answer will make your heart smile. It started with a question. The tiniest of the baby mice, Pip, tugged on Jerry's tail and asked, "Can you build us a dreamboat?" Jerry paused. "Like a little boat?" "No," said Pip, eyes wide. "A boat that sails in dreams. One that floats in the air and rocks us to sleep." The other baby mice nodded quickly. "We want stars on the sails, and pillows for clouds, and music that plays only when you're sleepy." Oliver, sitting nearby, laughed. "That's impossible." But Jerry, he just grinned. That evening, he got to work. From the hidden corner of the basement, he collected a broken shoebox lid, pillow stuffing, straws, a torn ribbon with stars on it, an old music box gear, 1 sock, don't ask whose. By candlelight, he hummed softly as he built. His paws moved like brushes on a canvas. By midnight, it was ready. He called it the Driftaway, a cradle boat with soft stuffing sails, a silver spoon for a rudder, and wings made from torn kite paper. Inside, 4 thimble-sized beds lined with fluff. He placed it gently on the windowsill. When the breeze touched the sails, the little music box gear turned. A lullaby whispered out, the tiniest tune. The baby mice gasped. It floats. Well, kind of it rocked gently on invisible string, but that was enough. It works. It's magic. It's ours. That night, they slept inside the driftaway, tucked beneath a thread blanket, cradled by a whispering wind, bathed in moonlight and make-believe. And Jerry? He watched from his shelf in Noctiso, smiling, tail curled. Not proud, just content. And maybe you've done that too. Heard someone wish for something wild and didn't say, "That's silly." Instead you said, "Let's try." That's not just creative. That's hopeful. That's you. Up next, Jerry faces a moment like that too. And what he does might make your heart feel whole again. It began with a crash, a quiet one, but sharp. From the attic, Oliver froze. He had been showing the baby mice his favorite treasure. A crystal marble, cloudy and blue, from the very first time Tom didn't chase him. It reminded him of trust. But now, it was shattered. A single slip of the paw, a bounce off the floor, and gone. Tears welled up. The baby mice backed away, eyes wide. Oliver tried to sweep it up, but his paws were shaking. And then Jerry appeared. No scolding, no sighs. Just presence. He looked at the pieces. He looked at Oliver, then quietly asked, "Do you want to fix it?" Oliver nodded hopelessly. Jerry said, "Then we won't try to make it what it was. We'll make it into something new, and maybe even better." From that moment, the workshop lit up. Jerry mixed soft clay into the marble dust, used string and glue to gently bind the biggest piece, pressed the new shape into a ring mold made from a bottle cap. Together, they polished. They carved. They added a tiny star bead at the center. By moonrise, it was done. A necklace, cool and smooth, a shimmering swirl of old and new. Oliver wore it around his neck that night, and he smiled not because it was fixed, but because it had become something else. A symbol of memory, of second chances, of friendship that doesn't break when things do. And maybe you've done that too. Turned sadness into story, loss into light. Not by pretending it didn't happen, but by gently saying, "We can make something beautiful from this too." Oh, that's not just creativity. That's healing. That's you. It started with excitement. Jerry had planned a backyard surprise for the little ones, a puppet play. He'd made tiny cardboard animals, painted scenery, and even written a funny little script about a goose who wanted to fly to the moon. Tom and Spike had helped set up the stage. The baby mice made popcorn out of puffed rice. Everyone gathered by the old oak tree. Jerry peeked from behind the curtains. "Places, everyone," he called. Then disaster. The first gust of wind knocked down a tree branch, which landed on the stage. The curtains collapsed. One of the puppets rolled into a puddle, and a raccoon, probably invited by the popcorn smell, walked straight through the set. Silence. The baby mice looked shocked. Oliver looked crushed. Jerry blinked. He could have sighed. He could have said, "It's ruined." But instead, he laughed. "New show," he shouted. "Improvised raccoon adventure." He grabbed a puppet head, balanced it on a stick, and had it speak in a silly voice. "Oh no, I'm lost in the jungle of chairs and muddy socks." The baby mice giggled. Tom grabbed a spoon and played part of a confused moon goose. Spike put a curtain on his back and pretended to be a dragon. The raccoon sat down to eat popcorn, clearly enjoying the performance. And just like that, chaos became comedy. The show wasn't the one Jerry had planned, but it was better. It was wild, silly, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Later that night, while everyone drifted off to sleep, Oliver whispered, "You made a mess. Feel like magic." And Jerry smiled. Because sometimes creativity isn't about having the perfect idea. It's about letting go and letting it be fun anyway. And maybe you've done that too. Turned an accident into a moment, a mistake into a memory. You laughed when others wanted to quit. You danced when the music skipped. That's not just flexible. That's beautiful. Now, Jerry is about to experience exactly that. And it starts with a blanket. It was Spike's idea first. "Winter's coming," he said with a soft snuffle. "And those baby mice get chilly fast." Tom nodded. "They like cuddling up under paper, but that stuff tears." Oliver added, "We should make them a real quilt." Everyone looked at Jerry. He blinked once, then smiled wide. "I have thread. I have buttons. I have fabric scraps from Muriel's old sewing box." Tom raised a paw. "I'll cut shapes." Spike woofed gently. "I'll stack the layers." Oliver raised a paw too. "I'll sew the stars on." Jerry clapped his paws together. It was on. For 3 full evenings, the house buzzed with teamwork. Jerry cut clouds from soft gray flannel. Tom shaped suns and moons from old napkins. Oliver added tiny beads for sparkly stars. Spike stitched the edges with his big, careful paws. Sometimes the stitching was crooked. Sometimes a button rolled under the fridge. But laughter echoed through every room. Even the baby mice helped, picking the colors and suggesting a name. The Snuggle Sky. And when it was done, oh, sleepyhead. It was beautiful. A patchwork quilt of gentle dreams, moon shapes, cloud puffs, golden suns, and soft stars. Tiny initials stitched in one corner, JTOS. Jerry, Tom, Oliver, Spike. That night, the baby mice curled beneath it like kittens in a nest. The wind blew against the windows, but no one felt cold. Because warmth, after all, isn't just about blankets. It's about belonging. And maybe you've done that too. Help build something with others. Not just from thread and buttons, but from trust, laughter, and shared hearts. That's not just creativity. That's community. The next day, it started with Oliver sighing. The house was calm. Soft wind outside, a sleepy hum inside. Jerry was sketching ideas for a nightlight powered by marbles. Tom was folding origami from cookie wrappers. Spike was humming and gluing sticks for a bird feeder. Oliver, he sat in the corner. Blank notebook. Nothing on the page. "I can't do what you all do," he mumbled. "I'm not creative." Jerry looked up. Walked over quietly. Sat beside him. Then asked, "What did you dream about last night?" Oliver blinked. I don't know. Something weird. A flying pancake and a talking cloud." Jerry's eyes sparkled. "Draw that." "What? Silly." "Exactly," Jerry grinned. "That's where creativity lives." So Oliver started. A scribble. A shape. A flapjack with wings. A grumpy storm cloud wearing glasses. The others peeked over. Tom laughed. Spike gently added, "Can I draw the syrup jetpack?" Soon the page filled. By the end of the hour, Oliver had built a whole world. And not just a world of story. And Jerry? He just smiled. Because he knew. It was never about being good at drawing. It was about unlocking the window inside Oliver's imagination and saying, "Let's go play." That night, Oliver left his picture taped to the wall. Next to it, Jerry left a little note. Creativity isn't something you have. It's something you let out. And maybe you've done that too. Help someone realize that their mind is full of galaxies, even if they don't see stars yet. That's not just encouragement. That's magic. Let's explore Jerry's empathy, the quiet, heartfelt way he understands feelings, not with words, but with presence. It was a slow, sleepy afternoon. The clouds were low. The curtains barely moved. And somewhere in the corner of the house, Tom was curled up. Not sleeping, not chasing, just quiet. Jerry peeked out from the cupboard. He'd heard no ruckus in hours, which was strange. He patted across the floor gently, until he spotted Tom near the fireplace, chin on his paws, tail unmoving. No bandages, no reason to hide. But Jerry felt something was off. He didn't ask, didn't poke. He just walked up beside Tom and sat, quiet, present. For 10 minutes, they said nothing. Then Tom sighed. His paw nudged a tiny box beside him. Inside was a photo. Worn, old, fuzzy around the edges. A little kitten, white paws, bright eyes. Jerry looked up at Tom. Tom blinked slowly. "She was my sister," he whispered. "It's her birthday today." Jerry didn't speak. He didn't try to fix it. He simply reached into his tiny satchel and pulled out a button. Pink, shiny, round as the moon. He placed it beside the photo. A gift. No explanation. Just, "I see you." Tom smiled just a little. And that was enough. Because sometimes empathy isn't about the right words, or even saying anything at all. It's about noticing, sitting close, letting someone know they're not alone. And maybe you've done that too. Noticed a friend's quiet sigh, offered a snack, a blanket, a soft look that says, "I get it." That's not just kindness. That's connection. That's you. It started with thunder, soft at first, then louder. The windows rattled a bit. The wind sighed against the floorboards, and from behind the garden shed came a rustle. Jerry noticed it during his evening walk. At first, it looked like just a bundle of leaves, but then a nose, a quivering whisker. A very small mouse soaked from the rain, shivering, eyes wide with worry. Jerry didn't speak. He just knelt, held out a crumb of cornbread, placed it on a dry leaf, and waited. The little mouse didn't take it at first. She looked past Jerry and scared of the big house, of the storm, of being somewhere unfamiliar. Jerry gently sat down in front of her. No pressure. No invitation. Just calm. He took a crumb himself and nibbled it. Looked at her with the soft eyes. "You're safe," his gaze said. "You don't have to talk. You don't have to stay. But if you want to, you're welcome." Minutes passed. Then the mouse slowly crawled forward. Ate. Shivered less. Glanced at Jerry. Tears welled in her eyes. He offered his paw. She took it. And together, they walked toward the warmth of the house. Jerry didn't tell the others right away. He didn't need applause. He simply made a little nest beside his own, laid down a soft button as a pillow, left a thread blanket, and whispered, "You can stay as long as you like." Because empathy doesn't ask for thanks. It doesn't ask questions like, "Why are you here?" or "What happened?" It says, "You're here. That's enough." And maybe you've done that too. Opened your arms, softened your tone, made someone feel like they belonged, even if they barely believed it themselves. That's not just kindness. That's bravery. That's you. Up next, Jerry faces a moment like that. And what he does might remind you of just how deep empathy can go. It started with a snap. Not a trap. Not a stick. But a plate. Falling, crashing, shattering, and then Tom's yell. The noise echoed through the house. Everyone froze. Jerry peeked from the pantry, eyes cautious. The baby mice scampered under the couch. Spike bristled, ready to step in. But Jerry walked forward. In the kitchen, Tom stood trembling, the broken plate at his feet, a ruined sandwich nearby, and his paws clenched into fists. He wasn't mad at Jerry. He wasn't mad at anyone. But something inside had burst. A bad day. A worse night. And now the sandwich was the final straw. Jerry looked at him. He could have said, "Calm down." He could have teased him. He could have walked away. Instead, he picked up a piece of the plate, held it carefully, then sat on the floor beside Tom. Silent. Present. Tom's breath slowed. His shoulders dropped. He sank to the floor, too, tail curling around him. "I didn't mean to scare them," he mumbled. Jerry nodded. He knew. Then he opened a tiny tin. Inside, 3 jelly beans, a piece of bread crust, and a little paper note that read, "In case of bad day, share this." Oh, he offered it to Tom. Tom blinked, took 1 jelly bean, smiled. Just barely. But it was enough. Empathy doesn't always mean saying what you did was okay. Sometimes it means, "I see why you did it, and I'm still here." And maybe you've done that too. Look past someone's reaction. Listen through their silence. Reach for their heart, even when their hands were clenched. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's you. It happened in the attic. Jerry had been storing thread buttons in a matchbox. He climbed the old ladder, careful of the creaky wood. The attic was quiet and dark. Dust floated like tiny fireflies. And in the far corner, just behind a forgotten rocking chair, he saw something move. 8 legs, a glint of silk, a spider. Jerry froze. Not out of fear, but curiosity. Most of the others would scream or sweep. Spike barked at shadows up here. Tom never even looked. But Jerry noticed something different. The spider was hunched low, its web torn, drooping. It wasn't scary. It was sad. Quietly, Jerry stepped closer. He didn't speak. He didn't run. He sat on a dust-free patch and placed a crumb beside him. The spider twitched, watched, then slowly crept forward. And instead of snatching the crumb, it reached out a leg and pushed a tiny acorn toward Jerry. A gift. That night, they sat together in stillness. Jerry listened. To the quiet. To the creak of wood. To the gentle click of the spider weaving, slowly repairing her web. She'd lost her family to winter winds. She'd rebuilt alone, over and over. But no one had noticed. No one had stayed. Until now. Jerry didn't need to say much. Just sitting there. Beside her thread and tears. That was enough. Because empathy isn't just for the familiar. It isn't only for friends. It's for anyone with a heart that's been ignored. Anyone who's tried and been unseen. And maybe you've done that too. Listened to someone others dismissed. Reached out across fear or difference or silence. Given a crumb or a moment that changed everything. That's not just kindness. That's courage. That's you. Jerry sees someone in that very spot, and he does something that changes everything. It was an afternoon full of laughter. Tom was juggling jelly beans. Spike was teaching baby mice how to stack sugar cubes. Even the raccoon from the garden had joined in, stealing popcorn for fun. Everyone was there. Well, almost everyone. Off to the side sat a little mouse named Basil. He was quiet. Wore mismatched socks. Didn't speak much. He liked painting leaves blue and collecting shiny wrappers from candy no one liked. The others weren't unkind. They just didn't understand him. He always seemed to float outside the circle. And today, as the sugar cube tower rose higher and the crowd cheered, Basil quietly slipped away. Jerry noticed. He always noticed. He didn't call out. Didn't ask, "What's wrong?" Instead, he grabbed a small napkin, a blueberry from the snack pile, and followed Basil. He found him by the flower pots, quietly brushing a dandelion with a purple watercolor. Jerry sat beside him, said nothing, just held out the blueberry, and then softly, "Can you show me how you do that?" Basil blinked. "You want me to show you?" Jerry nodded. For the next hour, they painted. Not just leaves, but sticks, petals, even tiny pebbles. They turned them into tiny dream creatures. Blue squirrels, rainbow bees, marbled butterflies. And when they returned to the group, Jerry didn't say, "Look what we made." He said, "Basil made these. Aren't they beautiful?" The baby mice gasped. Tom clapped. Spike offered to build tiny shelves for them. And Basil? He smiled so wide, his cheeks turned pink. Empathy doesn't always say, "I see your sadness." Sometimes it says, "I see your joy, and I want the world to see it too." Now Jerry will create a space where everyone, the loud, the quiet, the unsure, and the strong, gets to be held. It was the end of a long week. The attic clock ticked softly. Rain brushed the windows like sleepy fingers. And everyone, Tom, Spike, Oliver, Basil, even the baby mice, now felt tired. Not just sleepy. Emotionally full. They'd laughed and built broken things, helped each other, felt joy, felt worry. It was a week of feeling, Jerry noticed. So he made a space. Not with walls, but with a soft idea. He called it the glow moment. He gathered a few matchboxes, lined them with cotton, asked Tom to dim the lights, had Spike carry over a glass bowl filled with marbles and stars cut from foil. Then he sat in the center of the floor and said gently, "Let's sit. No talking. Just being." One by one they came. Tom curled his tail close. Spike settled with his head on his paws. The baby mice brought their button pillows. Basil placed a tiny leaf next to Jerry, painted gold. And then silence. Soft. Sweet. Safe. Nothing was said. But everything was felt. Jerry looked around. He saw Tom's quiet forgiveness, Spike's loyalty, Oliver's softness, Basil's bravery, the baby mice's wonder. And in that stillness, they all breathed the same peace. Because empathy, in the end, isn't about the right words. It's about giving someone room to feel and not rushing in to fix it. It's about sitting together when the world is loud and saying, "You're allowed to feel everything, and you don't have to feel it alone." And maybe you've done that too. Offered your presence, your stillness, your heart, not to change someone, but just to be with them. That's not just kindness. That's love. That's you. And that's the end of tonight's dreamy story, Sleepyhead. Jerry's empathy has reminded us that being kind doesn't always mean having the answers. Sometimes it just means being there. If this story brought you even a tiny bit of comfort, drop A or A in the comments, so we know our little family is growing gently together. We'll be back soon with another story about one of our nostalgic little cuties, right here on Sleepy Cuties. Until then, close your eyes. You're loved. You're safe. You belong. Good night.